Hi, my friend. Existential therapists often talk about death and how to prepare for death and how important it is to live your life with the awareness of that limit, of that ending, of the reality of your temporality and your impermanence. Because if you do that, you're going to make more of it than if you imagine that this will go on forever and ever, and that you can just mess about until it gets serious just before you're dying. So the idea is that you're aware of your ultimate moments early on and that you set your trajectory in relation to the end. So you think about where you want to end up and how you want to feel by the time you're dying, to invigorate you and question you and challenge you to live your life with more intensity, more seriousness, and more understanding, more self awareness, and more of a willingness to be open to the learning that we can take from life. Be aware of the tasks of life, as it were. And one thing I've been coming across a lot lately, not in the last place because it's relevant to me as I'm contemplating retirement, is the idea of legacy. So, the idea of death, from an existential perspective, is about endings and is about realizing that you can't take anything with you. You die and you leave everything behind. So basically, your death is the end of everything, and you got to get ready to let go of everything. But there is a sort of an extension unit to that thought, which is the idea of our legacy. And the idea of our legacy is that which we transfer to the people who remain behind. And if you believe in reincarnation, that would include yourself when you come back on the earth, in a new body or in a new personal capacity. Now, quite regardless of whether you believe those things, there is always the reality that when you die, not everybody else dies, and there will be people left behind who will take an interest of what you have done while you were alive, and some of them will remember you, and some of them will also be using objects that you have owned and that you have passed on, or uh, things you have created. They may inherit and they may do something with. So there is an issue about what you leave behind and how much order you put into your affairs before it comes to your demise. And that's quite important, because leaving other people with a chaos as well as with their sorrow and their grief is really not very fair. So it's important to keep your life in order just in case you die and somebody else needs to clear up the mess. So, in consideration of other people, what is it that you have accumulated that would be useful to others, and how do you want to pass it on in terms of material possessions? Secondly, what kind of memories will you leave behind? In other words, how have you related to other people, and therefore what affections will be left in people's minds when you leave? What kind of worries will you leave behind? What unfinished business with people will you leave behind? It's very important to think about that, so that you don't lie on your deathbed having terrible regrets about unfinished business in relationships, or things that have remained unsaid, especially, a lack of having appreciated the people that you're leaving behind. And make no mistake, the people you leave behind will be waiting to hear final words from you. And after you die, they will bemoan the fact that even while you were dying, you weren't willing to say you loved them, or how much you cared for them, or how much you appreciated them. These are small gifts you can give to people. These are words and meanings and memories that people will cherish if you're kind enough to give them that appreciation that will be heartwarming for them. So give some thought to the people you leave behind. And then give some thought to what you want people to say about you at your funeral. This may be of no concern to you because you won't be there anymore. But nevertheless, what are they going to have to make of your life? What can they say about who you were and what you have given to the world? So that is an interesting thing to pause over. Who am I? How do other people see me? How will people see me by the time I die? And how will they summarize that? And how might I want to change that picture? How might I want to do some more things and contribute some more to the world so that there is a legacy that is worth having for other people? So that there is some measure of presence of what I have learned in the world. I don't just take it all into the grave with me, but I have distributed it in a wholesome and generous manner so that other people get the benefit of my experiences and my learning. So that is all about considering the world that you leave behind and bearing in mind what you can take from your life and pass on that is of value to other people, and especially to the people who have loved you and who will continue to love you and keep your memory dear after you pass on. Now, spiritually, of course, that is about what you have learned about what works, about how to live a human life, and what doesn't work. It's the moral learning and the emotional learning that are really so important at the end of the day, and that people are always eager to hear about. So if you can pass some of that on before it is too late, and make sure that the younger generations can benefit from your suffering and your understanding after mature reflection on what life has taught you, that will be truly a gift to give to the world. And don't leave it so late, my friend. Make sure that you start passing on these bits of learning and these understanding, and also some of the things you own, to people around you. Don't leave it until you're paralyzed and can no longer do it. And enjoy seeing what you can pass on. Don't be possessive. Don't be foolish in the belief that you've got to hang on, because life is not about hanging on. It's about letting things flow through you, both material things, emotional things, affections, and also the learning and the role modeling that you've done throughout your life. So think about your legacy when you go into a period of thoughtfulness in winter, as the light goes away and you have plenty of time to think about these things. Don't forget to do it, my friend. Take your legacy seriously and have a bit of fun with it too, because these are gifts for you to give. Take care.